Carlos Alcaraz owns 7 Grand Slam titles, and he's only 22 years old. He's already rewritten tennis history as the youngest man to complete the career Grand Slam, proving that tennis's future arrived way ahead of schedule. When Carlos was born on May 5, 2003 in the small Spanish town of El Palmar, Murcia, Roger Federer was just starting his legendary career. Rafa Nadal was 16 and hadn't won his first French Open yet. Novak Djokovic was still a teenager dreaming of Grand Slam glory. Nobody could have predicted that this baby, born to a tennis coach father and a former IKEA sales assistant mother, would one day eclipse them all in terms of early career achievements. The story starts as humbly as you can imagine. At age 4, little Carlos picked up a tennis racket at the Real Sociedad Club de Campo de Murcia, where his father worked as both a coach and club administrator. Carlos Gonzalez, his father, was a former professional player himself, but his career was modest compared to what his son would achieve. Virginia Garcia Escandon, his mother, had no tennis background whatsoever. She was working in retail when Carlos was born. The Alcaraz household was crowded and competitive. Carlos was the second of 4 brothers, older brother Alvaro and younger brothers Sergio and Jaime. In typical Spanish fashion, the family called him Carlitos or Charlie, nicknames that stuck even as he conquered the tennis world. Documentary footage shows a family that remains remarkably grounded despite Carlos earning over $60 million in prize money. Incredibly, when he's home in El Palmar, he still sleeps in his childhood twin bed, surrounded by his trophies. The first hint that Carlos was special came when he was just 10 years old. In 2013, at an age when most kids focus on video games, Carlos signed his first professional contract with Babolat. The same year, he competed outside Spain for the first time at the Under-10 World Championship in Croatia. He lost in the final, but the experience was invaluable. Talent scouts were already taking notice of this Spanish kid with the infectious smile and explosive forehand. When Carlos was 12, IMG agent Albert Molina made a decision that would change tennis history. After watching Carlos compete at age 11, Molina recognized something extraordinary. He spent an entire year trying to convince Carlos's parents to sign with him. The persistence paid off when Carlos Sr. finally agreed, setting in motion a carefully planned ascent to the top of tennis. But the real transformation began in 2018, when 15-year-old Carlos made a life-changing decision. He left his family home in Murcia and moved to Villena to train with Juan Carlos Ferrero, the 2003 French Open champion and former world number 1. This wasn't just a coaching change, it was Carlos stepping into a different universe of tennis excellence. Ferrero later revealed just how raw Carlos was when he arrived. Carlos was a shy kid at the beginning with me. I think he had a lot of respect for me. He wasn't very stable. His emotional maturity, man, he got very cocky with the wins, and then he'd complain if it doesn't go his way, he was down. So basically, a roller coaster. The partnership between Ferrero and young Alcaraz would last 7 years and produce 24 tour-level titles, including 6 of Carlos's 7 Grand Slams. Carlos turned professional in February 2018 at age 14. 2 years later, in February 2020, he made his ATP Tour debut at the Rio Open at just 16 years old. The tennis world was watching, but few could have predicted what was about to unfold. The breakthrough came in 2021. In May, Carlos cracked the top 100 for the first time. By September, he had reached his first Grand Slam quarterfinal at the US Open, finishing the year ranked number 32 in the world. It was an impressive debut season, but it was just the appetizer for what was coming. 2022 was the year Carlos Alcaraz announced himself to the tennis world in spectacular fashion. In February, he won his first ATP 500 title in Rio de Janeiro. In April, he captured his first Masters 1000 title in Miami, but May 2022 produced one of the most remarkable weeks in tennis history. At the Madrid Open, playing on home soil, Carlos achieved something no player had ever done before. He defeated both Rafael Nadal and Novak Djokovic at the same clay court event. First, he stunned his idol Nadal in the quarterfinals. Then, in the semifinals, he took down the world number 1, Djokovic. The tennis world was witnessing the birth of a superstar. Carlos wasn't finished though. On September 11th, 2022, at the US Open final, he defeated Casper Ruud to win his first Grand Slam title. The next day, September 12th, 2022, at 19 years, 4 months, and 7 days old, Carlos Alcaraz became the youngest world number 1 in ATP history. He was also the youngest year-end number 1, finishing 2022 at the top of the rankings. The speed of his ascent was unprecedented, but what made Carlos truly special wasn't just his tennis, it was his approach to the game. I'm winning all the the time because I am smiling, he said at Roland Garros in 2023. And I always said that smiling for me is the key of everything. This philosophy would be tested in 2023. Despite winning Wimbledon in July, defeating Novak Djokovic in a 5-set classic, Carlos was struggling with the pressure of constant attention. In 2023, I was already mentally exhausted, he later revealed. It was 24/7, 100% about tennis. The breaking point came after losing to Djokovic in the French Open semifinals. Instead of wallowing, Carlos made an impulsive decision that revealed his maturity. I had a friend who was on vacation during that time, and he was going to be in Ibiza with friends. Let me make it out, tomorrow I'm going. He took an unscheduled break, recharged, and came back stronger than ever. This mental reset was crucial because 2024 would prove to be Carlos's most dominant season yet. He won the French Open in June, capturing his first Roland Garros title. In July, he successfully defended his Wimbledon crown, again defeating Djokovic in the final. At 21 years and 70 days, Carlos became the youngest male player in the Open era to complete the Channel Slam, winning the French Open and Wimbledon in the same season. The 2024 season also saw Carlos claim Olympic silver in Paris, losing to Djokovic in what many considered one of the greatest Olympic finals ever played. But perhaps more importantly, it was the year his rivalry with Italian sensation Jannik Sinner truly took shape. The Alcaraz-Sinner rivalry, dubbed Sincaraz by fans and media, represents tennis's future. Between them, they've split the last 9 major titles and won 11 of the last 14, dating back to the 2022 US Open. Their head-to-head record shows Carlos leading 10-6, including 4-2 at majors. Some commentators have dubbed them the new Big Two, and the rivalry has been described as potentially era-defining. I would say we're going to have a great rivalry over the years, Carlos has said about Sinner. We are playing in the best tournaments in the world. It's not over here. The financial rewards have matched Carlos's on-court success. In 2025, Forbes estimated he earned $48.3 million, with about $35 million coming from sponsorship and appearance fees, making him tennis's highest-paid player. His current net worth is estimated at $50 million. His sponsor portfolio reads like a who's who of global brands. Nike signed him to a deal worth $15 to $20 million per year for 10 years. Babolat extended his racket deal through 2030, and luxury brands like Rolex and Louis Vuitton have all come calling. The most revealing glimpse into Carlos's character came through the 2025 Netflix documentary Carlos Alcaraz My Way. The series, which followed his 2024 season, showed a young man trying to balance the pressures of being the world's best tennis player with simply being a 21-year-old who wants to enjoy life. The documentary revealed that Carlos's biggest splurge is shoes, which are displayed in his childhood bedroom alongside his trophies. When he's home, he prefers to stay in the same apartment where he grew up with his parents and 3 brothers. It's a level of humility that's almost impossible to imagine in today's celebrity-obsessed sports world. 2025 brought more glory and unexpected drama. Carlos won both the French Open and US Open, finishing the year as world number 1 with a stellar 71-9 win-loss record. He earned over $21 million in prize money alone, including $5 million for winning the US Open, the largest payout in tour history at that time. But in December 2025, shocking news broke. Carlos was parting ways with Juan Carlos Ferrero, the coach who had guided him from awkward teenager to tennis superstar. The split revealed tensions that had been brewing behind the scenes. "Right now, I'm hurting," Ferrero said after the announcement. "These kinds of relationships are difficult to end overnight. I gave it my all. I poured my heart and soul into this project." Reports suggested the split was due to disagreements between Ferrero and Carlos's father about career management, as well as philosophical differences about Carlos's approach to balancing tennis with enjoying life. Some sources pointed to the Netflix documentary as evidence of these tensions. Ferrero's more serious, disciplined approach clashing with Carlos's desire to embrace what he calls showmanship and life enjoyment. The coaching change set up one of the most intriguing storylines heading into 2026. Could Carlos maintain his dominance without the man who had shaped his career? The answer came emphatically at the Australian Open. On February 1st, 2026, Carlos Alcaraz made tennis history once again, facing Novak Djokovic in the Australian Open final, a man who had never lost in his 10 previous finals at Melbourne Park. Carlos completed what many thought might take years to achieve. He defeated Djokovic 2-6, 6-2, 6-3, 7-5 to capture his first Australian Open title and complete the career Grand Slam. At 22 years and 272 days old, Carlos became the youngest man ever to win all 4 Grand Slam tournaments. distance, surpassing the previous record held by Don Budge. The moment was even more poignant considering Djokovic had been competing when Carlos was 4 years old. "Nobody knows how hard I've worked to get this trophy," Carlos said after lifting the Norman Brooks Challenge Cup. "I chased this moment so much." The victory was particularly sweet because it came with his new coaching setup. Samuel Lopez, who had been part of Carlos's team for years, was now the sole head coach. The seamless transition proved that Carlos's success wasn't dependent on any one person. It was built on his own extraordinary talent and unshakable mental strength. Today, Carlos Alcaraz stands as one of tennis's most remarkable success stories. He has spent 56 weeks as world number 1. He owns 7 Grand Slam titles across all 4 surfaces. He has earned over $60 million in prize money and is already 5th all-time in ATP career earnings. His trophy case includes 8 Masters 1000 titles and 8 ATP 500 titles. But perhaps more importantly, Carlos has changed how we think about tennis success. In an era when athletes often peak in their late 20s or early 30s, he has achieved tennis immortality before his 23rd birthday. He has proven that with the right combination of talent, work ethic, and, crucially, joy in the game, there are no limits to what's possible. The debate about tennis's greatest of all time will continue for years to come. Federer has 20 Grand Slams, Nadal has 22, and Djokovic has 24. But Carlos Alcaraz has something none of them had at his age: a complete set of Grand Slam titles before turning 23. What makes Carlos's story so compelling isn't just the records he's broken or the money he's earned. It's the way he's remained true to himself throughout this incredible journey. From that 4-year-old picking up a racket in Murcia to the youngest career Grand Slam champion in tennis history, Carlos Alcaraz has proven that sometimes the future arrives exactly when it's supposed to, even if that's 20 years ahead of schedule. The smile that Carlos says is the key to everything continues to light up tennis courts around the world. And with his career Grand Slam now complete at just 22 years old, that smile suggests this story is just getting started.